First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Macie Goldfarb.
And I'm Alexus Cleavenger. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a developing story, the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the world reaction. Russian forces are said to be closing in on the capital of Ukraine. NBC's Alice Barr reports from Washington.
As Russian troops closed in on Ukraine's capital today, the sounds of war grew louder in Kyiv, gunfire and explosions. Air raid sirens blaring. A hunted people huddled underground, flooding train stations and border crossings to flee or rising up to fight back.
My husband is still there. We'll fight, even if Europe doesn't help us.
Ukrainian officials releasing images of a Russian plane shot down and a bridge blown up to slow the Russian advance. President Biden speaking today with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who released a video message showing him standing his ground in the besieged capital. That after telling world leaders they might not see him alive again, pleading for help to stop Russian President Vladimir Putin, and now offering to negotiate on a key Putin demand that Ukraine abandon ambitions of joining NATO, a top Russian official suggesting it may be too late.
Russia has shattered peace on the European continent.
President Biden joining NATO leaders in an emergency meeting, weighing how far they can challenge Putin without escalating to direct military conflict. NATO's Secretary General announcing that for the first time in history, part of the NATO response force is deploying for collective defense by land, air, and sea. The 40,000-member force includes American troops. They'll defend allies along NATO's eastern flank, but will not enter Ukraine. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
A bad crash this morning involving a bus and a semi in Lafayette County sent a dozen people to the hospital. The Highway Patrol says a migrant bus carrying 39 people was traveling along State Road 51. A T-bone collision occurred with a big truck approaching 51 from County Road 354. FHP says the semi-driver failed to stop at the stop sign. He was taken to Shands Hospital, as were 11 people from the bus.
A Gainesville attorney for the Florida Department of Children and Family Services faces her own charge of child abuse. Deputies were told Karen Joachim Silverman choked and hit her child when she refused to get out of bed for school. According to the arrest report, the complaint is that she struck her child twice before placing her fingers around the victim's neck. The initial charge is at the felony level. Deputies arrested Joachim Silverman late Tuesday night.
The Drug Task Force in Marion County says it confiscated more than $4.5 million worth of drugs during 2021. The high-intensity operations carried out by the Unified Drug Enforcement Strike Team led to the arrest of 228 people. Those arrested were accused of trafficking drugs like fentanyl, meth, cocaine, and heroin. The strike team also seized 60 guns and recovered almost $400,000 in cash.
It's been a bit warm up here in the past couple days.
I know, I'm kind of missing the chilly weather. Let's talk to Zoey Robinson now with the latest.
I know I wasn't expecting to quite put away my winter clothes just yet. It's still winter technically, but you wouldn't make of it with the current conditions right now, sitting in the low 80s as of right now. Plenty of sunshine, and we actually broke a record and tied a record today for our highs. Jacksonville previously had a record of 86 back in 2018, but we beat that today with 87 degrees as the high, and we tied Gainesville's at 85 today. So very warm day across north central Florida, well above average. And that's because of a ridge in the mid-levels of our atmosphere. It's promoting sinking air, which is causing it to be well above normal, almost a 10-degree difference. And with these winds from the west, pretty warm. If you're waiting for a cool down, I've got good news coming up later at the rest of the show. Back to you.
Budget negotiators in Tallahassee must decide whether to go forward with a House plan to financially reward 55 school districts that did not impose mask mandates. It would come at the expense of the 12 districts that fought the governor's executive order and imposed mandates that lacked an easy parental opt-out. As WUFT's Ariana Psarakos explains, the proposed punishment is $200 million total, with Alachua County schools losing $2 million.
12 school districts are about to face a $200 million fine under the Putting Parents First adjustment. The adjustment proposed by State Representative Randy Fine will impact schools districts that went against Ron DeSantis' order to not enforce a mask mandate. If the adjustment passes, Alachua County will have to pay $2 million.
It's unrealistic to expect that you can cut $2 million from a school district's budget, especially our size, and that it won't impact students and schools.
Alachua County lifted the mask mandate in November. It was forced to do so after the state legislature banned the action.
Our superintendent has made it very clear that that was a fight that we needed to have, that was something that was worth doing to protect our students, to protect our staff, and to keep our schools open, which is exactly what the state wanted us to do.
As of right now, the fine is not in the Senate budget, but if passed, it would cut salaries from school board staff making over $100,000 a year. The number of staff is estimated to be around a dozen. Beliefs and a potential fine. How will Alachua County fit both in its budget?
We hope that that doesn't turn out to be the case. We hope that people will recognize, that the people at the state level will recognize that this is something that will hurt students, no matter how the proposal tries to slice and dice it.
Ariana, Psarakos, WUFT News.
And on the topic of COVID-19, Governor Ron DeSantis and the Florida Surgeon General are urging people to feel free to ease up on precautions regardless of slow-changing federal advice. They're against businesses requiring employees or customers to wear masks, and they say isolation for positive cases should only last 5 days. The CDC updated its guidance late today with new metrics to determine its masking advice county by county. Indoor masking is now only recommended for about 28% of Americans, instead of 99%. But many Florida counties are still scoring high, so indoor masking is still recommended.
President Joe Biden announces his Supreme Court nominee, Ketanji Brown Jackson, could become the first Black woman to sit on the High Court. Jackson would replace retiring Justice Stephen Breyer and she once clerked for him. She's now on the U.S. Courts of Appeals in D.C., confirmed that just 8 months ago with the votes of 3 Senate Republicans. Born in D.C., she grew up in Miami and went to Harvard for law school. She's 51, married to a surgeon, and they have 2 daughters.
And if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the next Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, I can only hope that my life and career, my love of this country and the Constitution, and my commitment to upholding the rule of law and the sacred principles upon which this great nation was founded will inspire future generations.
Biden has often been criticized for vowing to select a Black woman to fill the vacancy, but UF law professor Merritt McAllister says Jackson's credentials make her an ideal nominee.
I actually think there's real value in coming to the Supreme Court with the sort of wealth of trial level experience that she has. That's something that is not shared by all of the judges on the Supreme Court.
McAllister says having someone like Jackson on the Supreme Court will help mirror our society at large.
In the U.S., the meat processing industry is a $235 billion industry.
And there are 20 meat processing places here in the Sunshine State. But did you know UF can teach you a lot about how they work? That story is coming up next.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
If you've ever wondered where your food comes from, you can find out by visiting a few areas around Florida.
WUFT's Isabella Leandri visited 3 and spoke with the respective lab prospective owners and lab managers. We want to remind you, if you are not a meat consumer, you may want to skip on this story.
Meat processing is encoded in Tommy Estevez's DNA.
They claim I'm an assistant lab manager.
He works at the University of Florida Meat Processing Center, a division of UF's Department of Animal Sciences.
Everything evolves around teaching. Some of our animals are going to be used in 8 or 10 different classes.
The processing center is a USDA-inspected meat processing facility.
Under USDA, humane handling is very important.
After it's humanely handled, it's ready for sale next door.
We have an array of customers. Some of them have been coming here for 20 years. The coolest thing, I know most of them by name.
It doesn't stop with meat for processing and meat for sale here. Most meat processing companies in Florida provide services to other businesses and serve as wholesalers to grocery store chains. This meat may end up in your go-to supermarket. And this meat may skip the store and end up on your date night dinner table. A few meat processors have farms where they process and sell meat and give it directly to the consumer. Roy Sierra owns Casa Sierra Farms.
They haul hogs, they buy pigs, they buy cuts like hams, shoulders, bellies.
North Florida Custom Meats supports the specific needs of farms and people raising livestock. It also provides custom butcher services.
We do, all kind of different animals for people, and we do it the way that they want it.
From process to your plate, this multi-billion-dollar business continues to grow and demand one cut at a time.
Meat processing is the largest portion of the meat industry. The UF Meat Processing retail store is open Fridays from 9 to 5 to the public to purchase freshly cut meat.
Let's check back in with Zoey for the latest forecast.
After a week.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. It was a gorgeous day here for a Friday in North Central Florida. A little bit warm though, and we actually broke a record today in Jacksonville. The previous record was 86 back in 2018. Here in Gainesville, we tied the same record back in 2018. So nevertheless, a warm day, and that's because of a ridge in the mid-levels of our atmosphere promoting sinking air, and with that, warm temperatures well above average for this time of year. But with that, it's creating these gorgeous skies, mostly sunny, mix of sun and clouds here and there, but can't complain. Temperatures sitting at about 84 right now here across campus. And that's pretty much the pattern across most parts of our area. A little bit cooler along the Gulf Coast and a little bit cooler as well near St. Augustine, but overall warm and toasty. We will cool down though as we head past sunset with mostly clear skies. Temperatures bottoming out overnight around in the mid 50s, possibly upper 50s, about 57 in Gainesville and Lake City, 58 down in Ocala, and 61 near Cedar Key. We do though have another chance for patchy dense fog, mainly east of I-75 and along the St. Johns River. So be mindful if you are headed out early in the morning. After the sun rises, the patchy dense fog will pretty much evaporate, leaving for comfortable conditions sitting at about the low 70s. Around 10 o'clock, very comfortable for brunch, warm and sunny throughout the rest of the day, sitting in the low 80s, not only tomorrow, but through the entire weekend. So make sure to head outside, but if you do, and you might have a pollen allergy, just be a little bit mindful. We actually are in about a moderate to high level for pollen for grass, tree, and cedar all the way through next week. With that, we could see a return to normal. If you've been kind of sick of these warm temperatures, I've got good news. It's been above average all the way through Sunday, and then we'll see a cold front begin to sink southward as we head into Monday. We could see some possible showers along this cold front, but nothing to ruin the day, mainly in between Sunday night and Monday morning. And with that, here's the rest of the week. Through the weekend, above average conditions, like I mentioned, temperatures sitting in the mid 80s, but then when that cold front passes through, we'll get a brief shot of rain, dip in our temperatures, returning to normal, and looking like another warming trend to end the week. Now back to the desk.
It's a big night tonight in the O-Dome for Gator Gymnastics.
That's right. Not only is it their last home meet, but it's also senior night. We'll find out more about the significance of the meet after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Caitlin Wadulack. Tonight, number 3 Gator Gymnastics is back home taking the mat against number 2 Oklahoma. Florida's remained undefeated this season with their last O-Dome victory against LSU 2 weeks ago. In honor of senior night, head coach Jenny Rowland said the 8 seniors have made a huge impact this season, both on the team and individually.
These young women have been a joy to work with, see them grow, evolve into young women coming in as younger women and just really evolve, grow, you know, not only within the sport, but just figuring out who they are.
Tonight's meet will start at 6:45. Speaking of undefeated teams, Gators softball hits the road this weekend for the UCF Knights Classic Tournament. The Gators sit with a 12-0 record so far this season. Florida will batter up against DePaul tonight, and Saturday the Gators play Oakland. Then Sunday, 2 games, one against James Madison and another against UCF. Switching over to Gator baseball, the team begins its 3-game series tonight against Georgia State. The Gators are 3-2 on the season after a 3-1 win over UNF Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Panthers sit with a 4-1 record. Head coach Kevin O'Sullivan said he is looking to see improvement in his offense for this series against Georgia State.
I'm just trying to be as honest as I can with y'all about the offense is going to come. It's baseball. One night you score, you know, I forget how many runs we scored last night, and then tonight's a different ball game. Then Friday night's a different ball game. You know, but, you know, you have to learn to win in different ways.
First pitch is set for 6:30 tonight. Over in hoops, Gators men's basketball heads to Athens Saturday for an afternoon matchup against the Georgia Bulldogs. These two teams met back on February 9th when Florida won 72-63. A win Saturday is crucial for Florida in their chase for an NCAA tournament ticket. The Gators currently sit 8th in the SEC basketball standings and landed the 55th spot in the NCAA net ranks. Tip-off on Saturday is at noon. Staying on the court, Gators women's basketball has its final regular season game at home Sunday against Missouri. Florida looks to end the regular season on a high note with a win after losing back-to-back games against LSU and Vanderbilt. This is the final game before the Gators head to the SEC tournament in Nashville next week. Sunday's tip-off is scheduled for noon. I hear it's been a quiet day in the celebrity world.
Yes, but our entertainment reporter has still managed to give us the latest. Let's take a look.
My name is Ariana Psarakos and welcome back to Entertainment News. Today, I'm gonna fill you in on a new Star Wars experience at Milan Fashion Week. How about a 48-hour stay at Disney's newest Star Wars themed resort attraction? Disney announced that their newest resort, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, will be open for guests starting Tuesday. The immersive adventure blends the experience of the Disney resorts, cruise lines, and theme parks into a 2-day space experience. The voyage will cost $1,200 per person per day, but Star Wars fanatics say the experience is worth it. Milan Fashion Week is here, and celebs in attendance wore iconic outfits that definitely turned some heads. Kim Kardashian, Rihanna, A$AP Rocky, and Julia Fox were seen in Milan. Leather outfits are the main event for Kardashian and Fox, who were seen sporting very similar looks. Kardashian's sister Kendall Jenner walked for Prada yesterday. Supermodel sisters Bella and Gigi Hadid have walked for Moschino and Max Mara together. Milan Fashion Week will end Monday. I am Ariana Psarakos, and that wraps up today's Dose of Entertainment News.
Before we go, one last check on the weather.
Well, it's been very warm the past couple of days, but we could see a return to normal at the start of almost the next week. As we said, great weekend looking ahead, but then on Monday, we'll see a cold front pass through, and with that, a chance for spotty showers along that frontal boundary, but we'll begin to clear out and then gradually warming up through the end of the week, making for another great week of weather. Back to you.
Thanks, Zoe. BBC World News is next, and the PBS News Hour is coming up at 7.
But remember, your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.